Airlines are keen to clamp down on a travel hack where people book a flight with a connection in the city that is not actually their real, their real final destination. It's been dubbed skip lagging, which can often see customers net a decent bargain. Well, we're joined by Eoghan Corry, who's editor of Travel Extra. And Eoghan, I've never heard this before. Can you explain what skip lagging means?
Good afternoon from Dublin Airport, where I'm definitely not skip lagging. It's pretty simple. The way the aviation industry works, sometimes you get a cheaper fare if you're going through a hub to another place. And people copped onto this about 20 years ago. Let's say you're flying New York to Atlanta to Mobile, Alabama, where I'm going next week. You get a very good fare because the direct flight to Atlanta, the airlines, they think they can get a lot more for it. But you hop off and you don't complete the second leg of your flight. It's been going on for a while. The airlines really don't know what to do with it because it's very hard to penalise a passenger who's already left and isn't going to continue their journey.
Yeah, and why would it cause a problem really for the airlines? They're still getting their full fare.
Okay, the real reason it causes a problem for the airlines is they're getting a smaller fare than the one that they would charge. The real point of this is the crazy world in which the airlines price things. Sometimes your flight through Atlanta to another destination is cheaper than the one where you're getting off in Atlanta. It happens in some of the major European airports as well, but more in America. So they're saying that, well, they don't really say we're missing out on the extra fare. They say things like, it causes delays. There are calls for passengers that everybody has to wait, and it turns out they don't show up and they've never any intention of showing up. But it is a problem on the revenue side. It's also a problem on the operational side.
There probably is some truth to what they're saying there, that there may be delays while they're waiting for passengers.
Absolutely. I mean, it isn't good practice to have an empty seat anyway. That could be sold to somebody else going on the second leg. It turns up in aviation hacks. It's sort of a thing that, you'd be told by people in the know, for many years. What is interesting is that there is a website that promotes this and shows you how to do this in America. And it has been sued by 2 airlines already. Another one has launched legal action against it. But it manages to shake off all the legal action by the airlines. And the people who love travel hacks, I hate that phrase, but people who love sort of ways of getting $40 or $50 off a flight love it.
Of course, there are other potential problems. We got a text earlier from Rob from Travel Counsellors, and he said travellers need to be really careful about this. It can go drastically wrong. He said when you do not turn up for an onward flight, the airline assumes you're no longer travelling and will cancel any remaining flights. Also, he said airlines may insist on sending your luggage through. And we were speaking about this earlier in the office, and people did have stories of their luggage ending up in the destination they didn't want to go to.
There's a couple of no-nos. You can't do it with a return flight for obvious reasons, and you can't do it when you've checked in when you've checked in your luggage. You just can't do it. I mean, there's a limited number of circumstances to which you can actually pull it off. The airlines have much more data. Even in the last 12 months, the amount of data that they get on their own passengers has been enormous. The way they have of reading that. And we've seen airlines put bans, sometimes lifetime, sometimes 3-year travel bans on people that they think are doing it, because it's a very hard thing to prove.
Well, it certainly is. There's another customer practice apparently called skip boarding. Given I didn't hear about skip lagging, you might enlighten me about skip boarding.
I am skipping from foot to foot here in the airport. The skipboarding is, again, it's very American, and it came up at an IATA conference I was at 2 weeks ago, where airlines, particularly in America, listeners will be very familiar with how they board. They have a sort of a group 1, group 2, usually the premium customers, the people in business class. And then the ordinary Joe Soaps like myself are stuck down in group 6. And what people in Group 6 often do is they go up when it's Group 2 and 3. And because it's too much hassle to turn them around and send them back, and they hold up the boarding process, they get on board. It's sort of barging your way up. It doesn't really happen in Europe. Most of our passengers out of Ireland travel with Aer Lingus, and they do have a group system, but it is much less complex than the American one. And of course, in Ryanair, it's just priority boarding. and other people who don't have priority boarding, and basically gather your case under your arm and run for your life.
I suspect this might be a joke, this text that we have on from somebody who has signed off as Judas, but they say whenever I fly Dublin to Cork, I go via Knock, Shannon, Belfast, and I usually save €7.85.
It's a well-known fact that you have a lot of comedians listen to Drivetime.
We certainly do. Oh, listen, thank you very much. But go on, quickly.
She does have a point. If you're flying from Dublin to Cork, you do have to go through somewhere else. And people who in America, by a travel agent who doesn't know their way around, have been booked Dublin to Edinburgh to Belfast. Because we don't have direct flights, so they don't realise how small the island is. Sarah.
Okay. Eoghan Corry, thank you so much as always for joining us. That's Eoghan Corry, editor of Travel Extra.